Buddhism has a rich history and a profound impact on the world's cultures and societies. We will explore what Buddhism is, where it originated, and how its teachings have influenced people for centuries. So, let's get started. Buddhism is a religion and philosophy that originated in ancient India over 2,500 years ago. The founder of Buddhism was Siddhartha Gautama, who is also known as the Buddha. He was born into a royal family and lived a privileged life, but at the age of 29, he left his life of luxury in search of enlightenment. After years of meditation and self-reflection, he achieved enlightenment and became the Buddha. Buddhism is a religion and philosophy that teaches individuals to understand and overcome the suffering that is present in life. The fundamental teachings of Buddhism are based on the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. These teachings provide a framework for understanding the nature of suffering, the causes of suffering, and the path to freedom from suffering. In this article, we will explore the Four Noble Truths, the Four Principles, the Four Applications of Mindfulness, and the Eightfold Path in greater detail. Suffering, dukkha, exists in life. Suffering arises from craving and attachment. Suffering can be overcome. The path to the end of suffering is the Eightfold Path. The First Noble Truth states that suffering is a fundamental part of life. It is not limited to physical pain but encompasses all forms of suffering, including emotional and mental suffering. The Second Noble Truth states that suffering arises from craving and attachment. It is the result of our desire for things that we cannot have or our attachment to things that we fear losing. The Third Noble Truth states that suffering can be overcome. We can find freedom from suffering through the practice of mindfulness and meditation. The Fourth Noble Truth states that the path to the end of suffering is the Eightfold Path. This path consists of 8 interconnected elements that are essential for achieving freedom from suffering. The Four Principles are also known as the Four Immeasurables or the Brahmaviharas. They are loving-kindness, metta. This is the practice of wishing all beings to be happy and free from suffering. Compassion, karuna. This is the practice of understanding and empathizing with the suffering of others and wishing to relieve it. Sympathetic joy, mudita. This is the practice of finding joy in the happiness of others. Equanimity, upekkha. This is the practice of remaining calm and balanced in the face of both pleasure and pain. The Four Applications of Mindfulness, also known as the Four Foundations of Mindfulness, are mindfulness of the body, kayanupassana. This is the practice of being aware of the physical sensations and movements of the body. Mindfulness of feelings, vedananyupassana. This is the practice of being aware of the feelings that arise in the mind, whether pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Mindfulness of mind, cittanupassana. This is the practice of being aware of the thoughts, emotions, and mental states that arise in the mind. Mindfulness of phenomena, dhammanupassana. This is the practice of being aware of the nature of reality and the impermanence of all things. The Eightfold Path is the path to the end of suffering. It consists of 8 interconnected elements. Right understanding, samadhithi. This is the understanding of the Four Noble Truths and the nature of reality. Right intention, samasankappa. This is the intention to follow the path of enlightenment and to cultivate goodwill, kindness, and compassion. Right speech, samavaka. This is the practice of speaking truthfully, kindly, and beneficially. Right action, samakamanta. This is the practice of acting ethically and avoiding actions that harm others. Right livelihood, samajiva. This is the practice of earning a living in a way that is. Buddhism originated in the Indian subcontinent around 2,500 years ago. Its founder, Siddhartha Gautama, later known as the Buddha, was born in the kingdom of Kapilavastu, which is now located in modern-day Nepal. At the age of 29, the Buddha left his palace and began a spiritual quest for enlightenment. After 6 years of meditation and reflection, he achieved enlightenment under a Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, India. After his enlightenment, the Buddha began teaching his philosophy to others. He traveled extensively throughout India, attracting many followers and establishing monastic communities. The Buddha's teachings were primarily focused on the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, which provided a framework for understanding the nature of suffering and the path to liberation from it. Buddhism quickly gained popularity throughout India, and by the time of the Buddha's death, it had become a major religion in the region. After the Buddha's death, his teachings were preserved and spread by his disciples, who established monastic communities and continued to teach his philosophy. As Buddhism spread to other regions, it began to evolve and take on different forms. Various schools and traditions developed, each with their own interpretations of the Buddha's teachings. Some of the major schools of Buddhism include Theravada Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, and Vajrayana Buddhism. Theravada Buddhism, also known as the School of the Elders, is the oldest surviving school of Buddhism. It is primarily practiced in Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos. This school emphasizes the Buddha's original teachings and places great emphasis on meditation. Mahayana Buddhism emerged in India around the 1st century BCE and spread to China, Korea, Japan, and Vietnam. Mahayana Buddhism emphasizes compassion and the importance of helping others achieve enlightenment. This school also introduced the concept of the Bodhisattva, an enlightened being who postpones his or her own liberation in order to help others achieve enlightenment. Vajrayana Buddhism, also known as Tibetan Buddhism, developed in Tibet and other parts of the Himalayas. It incorporates elements of Tibetan shamanism and the indigenous Bon religion. This school places great emphasis on the use of mantras, mandalas, and other rituals to achieve enlightenment. Buddhism has had a significant impact on the cultures and societies where it has been practiced. It has influenced art, literature, philosophy, and politics in many regions of Asia. Today, Buddhism is one of the major religions of the world, with millions of followers in Asia and the West. Its emphasis on compassion, mindfulness, and non-violence has made it a source of inspiration for many people around the world. In conclusion, Buddhism is a religion and philosophy that originated in ancient India over 2,500 years ago. Its teachings are based on the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, which emphasize the importance of mindfulness, ethics, and meditation. Buddhism has had a profound impact on the world's cultures and societies and continues to inspire people to seek enlightenment and a more meaningful life.